So I'll just have to say hi. You can see me, but only this part. I don't know what's the story with my iPad. So it is Watercolor Wednesday. And I'm going to sit here and fight with my iPad is what I'm going to do. So anyway, I have Pepper with me, as you can see.
Hello.
And stuff like that. Allow. And let's see what we can do. Join stream. And it says, how was your experience?
Yeah, so I had that too this morning. I had to go into Safari and paste it into the browser directly.
Okay, so I am trying to figure out how to deal with my iPad here.
I'm just happy that I'm seeing someone else have some technology challenges because I always have them. Bill can attest to that.
I'm aggravated that it seems like, oh, there we go. I just must have, oh, now it wants my fingerprint. I don't get that one. It doesn't even make any sense. It needed my fingerprint for this, but only after I typed in my password. So there's that, which makes, 0 sense whatsoever. George, you little pest, you. There we go.
I'm just going to sit here and continue doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, just keep painting. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. Now we have Chrome installed, because that's what it said to do. It said install Chrome. Okay.
It's not going to allow you.
Yeah, right.
I'm being serious. On the iPad, it like mine freaked out when I tried to link. If it does, I'll be shocked.
I know. That's funny. Oh man. No,
right?
you don't get to drink my water, you little pest. You're absolutely right. It said cannot open in Chrome. After it said you should open this in Chrome.
Yeah.
It says cannot open it in Chrome. You have to open it in Safari.
Yep. Oh, the joys of technology.
Right? I was gonna say this. I'm gonna spend the entire show fighting with this. Safari browser support is limited. We recommend switching to Google Chrome.
Yeah, it's limited, but
there we
it
go.
Still works.
Woo, 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 woo. Okay, I gotta turn the volume all the way down. There we go. Woo. That was way too much effort for what we got out of it. There we go. There
Although the entertainment value was good.
I got it.
Woohoo! On my screen, it shows you under my table and me under yours. There we go.
Yeah.
Well,
I
no.
could rotate them a little. Well,
Okay.
that didn't help us, and he did it. George, you pest. You're getting multi-George views. Oh, great. I'm going to get butt prints on my... It's a goober. You're such a goofball. Well, we have George. I mean, the show is, coffee with Guy and sometimes George. So
Yeah.
that does fit.
I think George just thinks that it's a show for him. So, I mean,
Right.
that works.
It's the George show. Always has been the George show. All right, let's get some water over here. Not hot on the frame rate, but it's not terrible. I mean, the iPad's frame rate is really slow.
Yeah.
But that's okay. At least this works.
Yep.
All right. We got this under control. Okay, so I'm working today on a landscape of some sort, and I feel like I'm going the wrong direction. So let's go ahead and pull this
You're
up.
going the wrong direction.
Yeah, I
Are you
want
gonna
this
turn it
in
around?
non-landscape, ironically.
Ah.
I want it in portrait.
And here I thought it was going to be watercolors by Pepper and cells by Guy.
Right? Let's see. Camera. Let's see if I can't get this camera somewhat better organized here. Naturally, it's just not aimed right. I feel like if I put this camera on the other side, it might be better. On the other side of this lamp. Right now, all I'm getting is just like, it's crooked. Can't seem to ever get it straightened out.
Yeah. There's worse things.
Why does he keep doing that?
Huh? Alien speak.
All buttons turn the volume up. And I hit the volume down and it turns the volume up. I hit the volume up and it turns the volume up. It's helping me. That's one of the things I hate about Apple products. No, clearly you want the volume up. No, I don't want the volume up. Well, clearly you want it up.
I don't want the volume up, but since you're here, the volume's going to go up.
Right?
It's
like,
kind of like
stop.
It's kind of like when you're watching like one of those streaming services that if you don't pay a certain price you per month, you actually have to still deal with the commercials.
Right.
And then the commercials are like super loud.
They won't even settle in. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
I'm talking about you, Hulu and Peacock.
Yeah, we're looking at you, man. We're looking at you. Alrighty, I'm over here in my library, and I am looking for one of my watercolor books. Ooh. There is one watercolor book which is great, and it talks about doing, well, you know what? I could just pull up Naushka. That would be good too.
Are you talking about Nazca, the Valley of the Wind?
I am talking about that, in fact. Look at that.
No. speaking of Hayao Miyazaki, I just read the actual novel, Howl's Moving Castle.
Okay.
Very different from what Hayao Miyazaki made, but still good.
Right. So I'm just looking through here to see what kind of damage we can cause.
Oh.
You know, not to the book, preferably. Very expensive book.
Well, most of them are.
Yeah. Just need to get all my cell paints out of the way. We were cell painting over here over the weekend and have completely trashed the main line. I was thinking about that last night or this morning when I woke up, and I was like, right, we got to do work over here on the main line, and I can't find the main line.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is going to be a fun day. Okay, I have a book stand back here, which I'm going to use for this job. So once I find something I want to paint, we're going to try to do some of the background stuff that he's done with these watercolors. And see if we can't kind of pull in something like, this guy right here.
Hey, Richard.
Oh, hey, Richard. How you doing, man?
I think you should do one. There's a scene with the plateaus in the desert.
Uh-huh.
That one seems very nice. I like that one. Or the underground trees.
Yeah, I see. Well, we're at the underground trees right here, yeah.
One of those two. I think they're good challenges for you.
I think that'd be great, too. I think that's an awesome idea. Or I like this painting right here. Sounds good, too. Or I'll do something super complex and stupid. What do we think? Think like it's a great idea? Let's not do that.
Well, that wasn't a bad idea. You could do that.
Right?
I think a bad idea would be like taking on something that you didn't really like the shot or the angle of. Like the underside of the bugs.
And you kind of want to try to do the character design stuff. This is Watercolor Wednesday. We're going to be doing watercolor work today. And I am looking through a book by Miyazaki for Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. And we're going to see whether I can find something and work something similar in here. The Sea of Decay. That one's a good one. In the desert. So what you were saying was maybe something like the desert.
Well, the desert shots are really fun for me, at least. That's why I was suggesting them when I did studies of Hayao Miyazaki. The character design, though, that is also something that you do frequently, so it's very familiar for you.
That's what I was thinking as well. Okay, we'll see you in a minute. I was thinking maybe just doing something from here, which would be useful. I'll put this right up here. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is not easy trying to find space on here. Today I have made an enemy of my table today. I'm not super dramatic. Why would you say that?
I won't disagree. Like I really am like overcrowded on my own table, so
right.
But my table's full full of tools.
Right.
Like if I actually did a whole panel of my desk, it's like watercolor making stuff is like towards the back over here. I have pens and stuff like in a holder over here, and I have like a bunch of jars and stuff like. But anyways, I digress. I am just trying to plan out a interesting character for all intensive purposes.
Well, and so here I am kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing. And I am not 100% sure I know. But I'm going to get a pencil out. I know if that's the case, I'll get a pencil out. But I've been kind of thinking I should figure out some of the aliens that I work with in my story too, or something. You know, some aspect needs to be done here in my comic that can be done on this particular thing. Like, I have 4 aliens that I've been trying to make super alien, like really alien. One of them is kind of the Jessine, which are, you know, effectively they're very very much like octopuses, sort of critters in a lot of ways, but I mean, the biggest thing is I believe firmly in the nature of something that Desmond Morris had said. For those who are not familiar with Desmond Morris, he wrote a book called The Naked Ape in the 60s. Welcome back. And The Naked Ape was sort of looking at humans from an anthropomorphic or anthropological view, zoological view. So he starts out with humans, are a sort of tribal creature, yada, yada, yada. And he goes on and talks a lot about what humans are as sort of creatures. One of the things that he talks about is how we potentially evolved, why we evolved, and stuff like that. One of the strong things he talks about is that we humans probably evolved our big brains because of our hands. And that was likely one of the reasons that we had done that. We'd gotten the opposable thumb to, pick up things on the bottom of the ocean floor or whatever, and pick up food and do things like that. And so when I think of aliens, I want to do things that I want aliens that are actually alien, but then I have to think about how do they do stuff. For example, how do they pick up things? Because otherwise by the nature of what Desmond Morris is saying, they can't actually develop intelligence. So one of the things I've been thinking about.
Intelligence.
Hmm?
Or the human form of intelligence.
Right. Well, something that's at least recognizable as intelligence. I mean, that's the other thing is that, dolphins are very intelligent. This was in the 60s when he wrote this. Dolphins are very intelligent, but they don't actually have opposable thumbs and stuff like that. So it's kind of not that doesn't hold as well,
Yeah.
His theory is that intelligence is derived from using hands, but that's a 1968, 1969 belief system. which is great, but doesn't hold very well to the concept of then how do all of the other creatures that are on this planet have intelligence? Because there are some very intelligent creatures on this planet.
Well, I mean,
The Jacine. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, raccoons have the intelligence of a 3-year-old toddler human, so there's that.
And the disposition therein, too.
And they have imposable thumbs.
Yeah, if you've ever dealt with coons, you know that. It's funnier because you and I are both from the South, which means that we've both dealt with coons in our trash cans.
Oh, yeah.
Stupid coons.
My grandparents had a raccoon that lived in their evasive pine tree. I love the tree, but we called him Rocky for a very, very, very long time. And the raccoon turned out to be Rockette.
Right.
And there was 2 raccoons, and they had baby raccoons in my grandparents' tree.
And that doesn't stay very long as 2 raccoons.
Yeah, no.
I know how coons work.
But but what was fun about
Good morning, Patsy.
What was fun seeing them was the fact that when I was a kid, that my grandparents never really disturbed them. Like, they just allowed them to stay in the tree so long as they weren't being a bother to the neighbors. It only became a problem when they started going into the neighbor's trash can.
That's where they always go. The coons, they head for the trash cans. I swear.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see their behavior. It really is. I got to see it more when I was a teen, but when I was a kid, it was fascinating.
Right. I agree. Less fun when you have to go out and get them out of your trash can. It's good to see you this morning, Patsy. Welcome to the show.
Actually,
this is Watercolor Wednesday, and we are doing watercolors today. Although I'm still drawing.
I am too. I did the preliminary coloring on here. At the beginning of the show, I finished up the preliminary coloring, and now I'm just doing a bigger piece so that I have a rough sketch of what I'm doing here, but I think it's definitely changing because it was rough.
Yeah, I feel like Brent would be making fun of me right now because I have a converging tangent, which needs to be dealt with.
Converging tangent?
Yeah.
How dare you, sir?
Right? He likes to make fun of me for getting mad about converging tangents. It is one of my pet peeves. Although, of course, as all artists, we should never have converging tangents. That's sort of the idea. Okay, so regardless of my earlier statement about dolphins, the ongoing statement here about there we go, get this brush in here.
Oh,
the ongoing statement.
Oh, sorry.
Huh?
What's your statement?
I was going to say, regardless of that, I wanted the Jacine to have some kind of ability to manipulate the universe. So they have little tentacles.
Oh, okay.
and the little eye stalks, and there's 3 of them. And one of the things that I want to do as a challenge in my story is make aliens that are really alien and make them friendly and comfortable. So despite the fact that they are ridiculously alien and full of tentacles, these guys are, of course, also Unity members. They belong to the Unity and are intelligent creatures that operate in the Federation-ish world that I've got going on here. We're going to have one of them be a spectacular pilot. They live in a high-pressure environment because they drift in a gas giant. Their home world is a gas giant. So they can manipulate their environment using these little tentacles. And I believe I had done a little bit of drawing of the Jessine whenever we were together the last time before all of this COVID stuff happened. I believe I was working on these guys then too.
Yeah, I think you were. And I think you're right with that. I think you were trying to figure out if you wanted them humanoid or bug-like.
Right.
At that time.
And I think I've gone for squid.
Hey, I like octopus and octopi and squid. So
octopi.
The multiple of octopus. I can never pronounce its Latin name, so.
Right. I'm just going to sketch in some stuff here. You know, the thing is with these long tentacles that come out the bottom, they actually can look pretty humanoid. Yeah, I could look relatively friendly and humanoid-esque. I wonder, if you think about it, if you're dealing with humans and humanoids, one of the races is like a giant amoeba. And so he can form any way he wants. He, she, they can form any way they want.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Patsy. It was good seeing you for the few minutes you were here. But wonder how much these guys would be humanoid-esque, or at least attempt to be humanoid-esque.
The amoebas?
For the comfort of the humanoids. And if you think about, like, it's like they're the humans would be the most rigid. Mm-hmm. So they'd be the hardest to move. It's not like humanoids can swim through the water with all of their legs and arms flapping behind them,
Right.
So sort of we're a rigid animal. So the amoeboids, whatever we want to call them, they just form arms and legs and a pseudo head just so that they could just, get into a uniform and then they're fine. The Jessine, they just have tentacles. So kind of have to Just, I kind of want this to look more flower-like. Like this. There we go. And actually, I think that Jessine were amongst the people who designed the larger jump ships like the Polaris.
Oh, cool.
Because the Polaris is very flower-like. It's got, it looks like a space flower. So I think that that's part of the deal here. Okay, somebody has just done something. I have no idea what that somebody was, but I'm going to go check it.
Oh,
I see. You're just causing trouble in here, aren't you? How did you get up there?
I'm a cat.
Yeah. He's after, we have a stuffy of Chi from Chi's Sweet Home. And he wants to tear it up so very badly. But it's from Japan, and we don't want him tearing it up. So we put it in the closet in the upper shelf, and somehow he got up onto that upper shelf.
Welcome to the world of George.
I know. He lives in this world where, I mean, he's so selfish, man. He thinks he's just totally like, this is all about George. It's not all about you, George. Just saying, it's not all about you. Okay. I feel like this is kind of cool.
Cool.
Kind of. Now he's in here. He's like, can I have some of your water then? What kind of trouble can I cause? What kind of trouble can I cause? Can I cause trouble? You're consistent. At least you're consistent. Okay.
He is.
He's not a bad cat. He's just a kitten. And kittens are kittens. That's what they do. He's not getting any attention, and so he's aggravated and annoyed. Like all good kittens. Leave it alone. You want water? I got water. He's like, why am I wet? You're wet because you're a goofus. All right. I'm going to take this fan brush here, and I'm going to try to use it and see what I've got going on. See if I can't use this. See if this won't come out right. I'm going to go ahead and move my palette over so you guys can see it at home. I'm just going to... And I feel like these guys should be like some kind of cool color. What color should they be? What color should we make them?
I think they should range from like a bluish pink to a blue.
Oh, yeah.
If they're living in a gas giant, I mean, let's look at gases. Neptune appears blue to the eye when we look at it through a telescope. Uranus is greenish blue.
Yeah.
So what color is their planet? Their skin, if they're floating in it, in a gas giant, then their skin would reflect the color of their planet.
You're right. You're right. The only thing I can think of, though, is that the uniforms are blue in this Boy, you just didn't learn, did you? I'm zodding the cat a lot. Yep. Or it could be red like Jupiter, or tan like Saturn. I think I'll go with red just so it offsets the uniform.
Okay.
So like an orange or an orange red. Not to knock what you just said, because of course that you were very logical about that. And I know you're very offended because you sound
I'm not
like
offended.
it.
I'm not offended at all. I'm just
R//
never going to give you my opinion again.
Again, ever again. Boy, you are just aching for it, aren't you there, George? George is trying to attack this box here, and I'm like, well, they kind of got these bivalve sort of closures here. There you go. I'm just going to go through here and just kind of there. He's really trying to chew on this box. And problem is, I get it. He wants to chew on the box because he's probably teething, but boy, there are box parts everywhere. No box is safe from the teeth of George.
That's one thing about cat behavior I never truly understood. Because they never actually get over like teething for some weird reason. Like I think every single one of the cats I've ever owned in my life have always like chewed on plastic or chewed on boxes or chewed on something.
Yep. They are predators, in theory.
Well, I mean, I always like a good present from a cat, but there's sometimes where you just don't want a dead bird.
Okay. So now I'm just laying down some red paint on this guy so that he will sort of and I'm trying to hit just the shadowed areas a little bit so that we can give some depth. There we go. Kind of see where we're going here. And come back in once this is dried and just kind of put in a little bit of shading. Kind of indicates that those valves have closed together.
Cubings.
There we go. There, excellent. Just like that. And that outer shell, I'm going to make it red. Now I'll use the wonders of my paint puck, which I love.
One of the people in one of the art groups I belong to found a makeup brush cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what's on the bottom of your cup in a kind of like a suction pad form.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
And so she took it and she put it into a glass jar for her paintbrushes.
And that's kind of what we've got going on. I think that may actually be the same company. I wonder if they started in the same spot.
I don't know. She got hers at a dollar store. So
Yeah. Yeah, it may
know,
not have been. For all we know, I'm going to use some yellow ochre. We're going to go in here and I'm just going to pull up some of my yellow ochre. I have two yellow ochres. One's darker than the other, which cracks me up every time. Because, like, they're both yellow ochre, but since they're two different manufacturers, you get all, like, the weirder colors and stuff.
well,
And we're going to
also
make these tentacles.
yellow ochre differs from region to region too.
Yeah.
Like I have what is known as, which is also known as golden ochre or ochre, yellow ochre for some manufacturers. But then I also have golden transparent ochre, which when you do that, it actually is transparent instead of, you know, like layered on and like appears very thick and dense.
Right? Well, and
So,
a sienna to me is going to be a red or a brown in my head. You know, any kind of sienna seems very red and brown, whereas an ochre always comes across sort of more as a yellow for me, which I
well,
find interesting.
raw sienna is yellow ochre, and then
Right?
sienna is cooked ochre.
So the point being that I'm like, I find that interesting that we can't decide what we've got going on here. Sort of the TLDR on this.
Yeah.
All right, kind of come along here. Make all the tentacles sort of a yellow. Here we go.
I will be right back.
After these messages. Still take more of this deep yellow ochre. Get going on over here, and I'm just going to keep following the tentacles down. One of the pleasantries of watercolors is that it's somewhat messy. It's just it's a messy medium, and that's okay. So the idea here is that we know we're going to be messy, so we're just going to let it go. Let it go, just like Frozen right there, right? He's shrugging. Ah.
Sorry.
Do, 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 do.
All right.
All right. So this guy is this picture. He's just like shrugging. He's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. You do it. All right. There we go. Excellent. Let that kind of be a more profound statement there. All right. The last little bit here is I really want to do some different color for the internal workings of these guys. We've got kind of a yellow ochre. We've got a red going. A burnt sienna, maybe.
Internal workings. What do you mean? Like inside
Yeah, like the
a
guts
mouth or
right
something?
through here and his little eye stalks. I feel like should be a different color. Like
I would say
he's
darker
got a core.
color.
Yeah, like he's got a core piece. I think so too. That's why I'm going for burnt sienna. He's got like a core piece, and then he's got the tentacles which come off the core piece,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's got the shell which goes around it. And I think those are the three pieces of this creature. You know what I mean? If you're talking about like the
Yeah.
internal
I
workings
got
of the
it.
critter. Boy, you were just into biting everything, aren't you, George?
Sounds to
Don't
me
think I
like
can.
he's more in a play mode.
I know. And he's over there biting things in the trash can. You're worse than a coon. We just started talking about coons. Worse than that, he has opposable thumbs, technically speaking.
That's if a cat could actually figure out on how to use them.
Right?
I mean, I've had some pretty smart cats. One taught himself on how to use the toilet.
There you go. I'm just going to put this burnt sienna in here. And sort of his internals. There we go. I was going to say, George, what is your deal? Dude, like seriously. All right. So the paint puck is awesome. They do sell the ones that just stick to the bottom of a glass. I've seen those. So this one's assemblable. So it's got a piece that goes to the bottom. It's just a clear, like a not a tube, but well, like a tube. It's a clear tube. It's only about that long. And then it's got a silicone piece that snaps on the top and a silicone piece that snaps on the bottom. And the piece in the bottom has all the little doodly wops that you can scrape your brush on.
Yeah.
So
I think I get an advertisement on social media about once or twice a day.
for this,
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay, now I'm going to do the background. I'm pretty happy with the foreground. I think I'll do a background that you are very entertaining and you're about to like trash my kid's project. What is it with you
Are you
today?
talking to George?
I'm talking to George. What is it with you today? What is it with you today? You little goofball. Yeah, George just literally walked. So my son's got an art project that he's doing for art class, and he walks under it so that it's lifted up on his back, and then as he walks off the couch, it just slides off onto the floor. And I'm like, why did you do that? Other than to be destructive. So I had to go pick it up off the floor. Obviously, I don't want my kid's art project to be ruined. George, on the other hand, has completely different ideas. I can't shoot him. He's doing it again. He's like totally walking underneath this art project. Like he intends to try to knock it off the couch. This is an intentional thing. What a bizarre
His
little
spot
animal
is
you
the
are.
couch. His spot is right where that thing is.
Right?
Just put a box down.
Right. He's offended by it. He's offended by it. Goofball. Okay. I'm going to put in some phthalo blue. We're just going to just catch the area around the outside of this guy. Just to make it kind of offset him a little. There we go. I don't even know what you're eating. Boy, George is like, nobody's paying attention to me, so I will be destructive until somebody pays attention to me. There we go. All right. There. And the reason I'm using blue is to highlight the reds and yellows. I'm saying that not for, obviously, Pepper's sake, because I think Pepper knows why I'm using blue. That's for people who are watching at home. Trying to find a color that does a good job of offsetting sort of the colors that we've got going on here. So that's why I picked this blue, and I like this blue. Just come in here and do this. I was saying last time there's an artist that I follow on Insta who does everything with a chisel brush like this. And it just always amazes me all the time.
You know, after our last watercolor Wednesday, I did actually think about the different brushes and stuff that you're experimenting with.
Mm-hmm.
And there are looks and feels that some people want to get with the different brushes. So it's more like, what do I want it to feel like? Like
Yep.
what type of um because I maybe it's just me, but like the some of the brushes for watercolors and just paint in general, um some people like equate those to like emotions
Right.
of paintings. And so with that said, it's like the range of motion that you can get is different from paintbrush to paintbrush.
Which makes kind of sense. I see that. I mean, personally, kind of liking the feel I get from this very large brush. The emotion that I'm feeling is nostalgia with a hint of sadness, like when you have a fall day that, the year is okay. I'm just making up stuff now. I'm totally making up stuff.
That's all right, Guy Ross.
That's me. There we go. Happy little Jessine. Happy little Jessine. Happy little aliens. There. We're just going to come in here and just put in this color. Just want to really make him stand out. I really want him to stand out a little here. Want him to. We're getting to the point where I'm running out of paint on the brush. So we're effectively dry brushing up here. Time to take a quick break. You know what that means?
Hey, I already got up and stretched. It's your turn.
My turn to get up and stretch. Okay, everybody, time to get up and stretch. Let's go on ahead and stand up and stretch. We should do this every hour, whether you like it or not. And we'll go ahead and we'll walk around. Let's see what kind of damage George has already done. Out here, and I'm walking through here, and it seems everything's okay. I'll walk over here. And I would look outside, because everybody should look outside. I find it funny that I have a fan over here that during the summertime, the fan blows all the hot air of the house out and helps the swamp cooler sort of pull the air through.
Uh-huh.
And George keeps getting between this fan over here. He likes to get between the fan.
Hey.
Okay. Now,
Cats like hiding spots, man.
and see, George is all about the visiting thing. He's like, oh, what's this? What is this? What is this? What is it? Is it cool? You can't walk on it, though. Mister, I know that you walk around in your toilet with your paws and get to walk on artwork. Inherently, you think about it, cats are just, they're clean animals, but they're not that clean. You're not that clean. That's all right. He's a goofball. He's a cute cat, but he is a goof.
Yep.
I like this one paw fork right on my nose. Well, there's that. I have a cat paw on my nose. Okay, you can go down now. George is a good cat. He's a little goofy, but he's a good goofy cat. Okay, I took a little bit of a break, so I want to make sure that my blue is still solid. Not going kind of too bad over here. Keep going around on the outside of this. I'm just going to keep painting in around the outside of this. There we go. Just like that. And we'll just keep going around this corner here. There we go. This is working pretty well. In the comic, the Jacines show up as holograms because they actually live either above the decking or below the decking on the ships in high pressure tubes.
Mm-hmm.
So to interact with the humans, they appear directly below the human. I mean, they're directly above them, but they appear in the hallway as holograms. So
I think I've
this is
lost my
true
photo.
of a lot of the critters or the other aliens in the comic. Like the Volmar live in space, in the vacuum of space. So they don't actually live in the ships either. They don't do very well in ships. That's too much pressure. So those guys, I have George hairs in my nose now. Ugh. Not. I'm used to actually cat hairs. All right. For this one, I'll use my red stamp because it offsets for the blue. All right. There we go. So, kind of trying to keep to the tradition that I've got going on here. Just I've been looking up here at the Nausica pictures that were up there, and just trying to kind of keep sort of that same light feel. It's not super complicated. It's not not heavy on these things. So that's where I'm kind of going on this one. I think it looks nice. I think I kind of like the idea of the Jacine being that way. I also feel like maybe their outer shell can change colors.
Probably with the introduction of different gases, probably.
Yeah, or hormones internally.
Yeah.
So that's how they communicate, is through colors, like an octopus does or a squid.
Well, they change usually out of self-perseverance.
Yeah. But they also tend to communicate that way too.
Yeah.
Okay. I like this piece. It works really well. I have an alien race. So let's go on ahead and pull this guy up. And there we go. I find that to be a very good watercolor. I'm very happy with this watercolor. Now I'm going to change speeds since it is still painting day. We can keep painting. But I am going to go to cells at this point while I wait for this guy to dry. Here is a unique widget, and this is a light board. I was talking to my friend Jan Scott Fraser, and she was telling me that the best way to do cells was to use a light board. When you use a light board, light doesn't transmit through it. I think is awesome. So we will do one of these cells. Work. Start here.
Are you gonna make a Jacine?
No. I'm actually going to work on one of the existing printed cells that I did. And hopefully, if all works well, this is going to flare real quick. If all works well, then we can... Did I just cover the power outlet with my tape? I did. If all goes the way it's supposed to, then this can be a cell that we can do right now. It's actually the character cell that I've been working on for a while. I think it's upside down. There we go. That's what we needed. This is a light board, which is flickering. Stop flickering. There we go. I'm like, this is flickering. This is starting to really bother me. All right. I'm going to move this palette over. And if this worked like it's supposed to, this will be the non-hydrophobic side. If this didn't work like it's supposed to, this will be very hydrophobic, and I'll be aggravated. This guy is a number 3O or a O round brush. I'm going to use him. And this is white cell paint and cell vinyl. So that's what this guy is right here. Urete. Now, I'm just going to pour some vinyl right here. I'm always trying to make sure I keep the tip of this paint clear. All right. Now, the moment of truth. Good. Excellent. I had been worried that this would be so one of the sides of this plastic transparency is hydrophobic, which means that the cell paint bubbles up and won't lay down at all.
Which is
And
the
that's,
reason why I never liked cell painting.
well, I don't know if that's necessarily a problem with most cell paints. I'm using a very interesting technique on this that I couldn't find any help on in Google at all. So I am guessing I am somehow by accident pioneering this. But the technique that I am doing here is I have printed this cell onto a transparency. The idea was given to me when I was talking to a buddy of mine who used to do cells in Japan. She used to work in the industry. And she and I were talking about it, and she was talking about how originally when they did animation, they would do these cells by transferring the artwork using a transfer machine, which burned the image onto the cell.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that's kind of like a transparency in a lot of ways. It's kind of like, this could be very much like just a normal everyday work transparency. And she was like, well, yeah, I guess. And so I went on ahead and just went to Kinko's. Well, first this is what happened over the weekend. This is how I had the most frustrating weekend ever. First, I went and bought transparencies for my bubble jet printer. And that produced a horror show, the likes of which I have not seen in a long time. Because the paints on that particular thing would start to crack after they dried.
Uh-huh.
And when they would dry and then crack, and then we'd end up with these horrible like it would smear the paint or smear the ink. So not only was my poor characters' faces cracking, which was a horror show, but they were cracking, and then the paint would smear. So then they get like half their face would like start to ooze down, and it was horrible. Like, it's the worst thing ever.
I'm just like thinking to myself, I'm like, if I saw this in real life, I would basically be like looking at them, and then all of a sudden they would have their regular face, and then they would have a face like if they had a stroke.
Right?
So like all of a sudden, like the mouth just was like.
It was rough. So it was a thing. So anyway, so what we're doing here is we are in essence sealing up the back end of this cell. At the moment, the cell is translucent and not opaque at all. And so I'm trying to sort of lock it in so that it'll be opaque, and then light won't pass through the parts that are printed. And so that's kind of what we're up to at this point in time. I'm using a very thin brush for this because it's all these little leaves, which when I made them, I didn't think about the fact that I'd have to paint all these stupid things in. And so, made my life extra hard for reasons that really, I'm not exactly sure why, but, hey, it's a thing. So now I have to use a very small brush, get in here and do this. But luckily, we already did a watercolor today, so I'm already warmed up on the brush. So the next one of these that I'm going to do, I've already started the picture on the computer over there. Is no, not you. Talking to Alexa, who's like, "What?" The next one I'm going to do involves Chang and her daughter sitting on a bench, like looking at the stars. And I'm going to use a glitter paper background for it so that the cell will be her sitting above or sitting with this glitter paper background. It'll look really cool.
Cool beans.
Look like a kind of a nighttime shot, where they're sitting there looking at the stars and stuff like that. That'd be kind of fun. And it'll be kind of cute and fluffy. Kind of moving along the outside here. That's all I'm doing is just filling this in. There we go. Just like that. There. Now, using this tiny brush gets me a lot of good detail, but of course I don't get a lot of coverage. So when I get back over here, I'm going to use a bigger brush. Because I need to get kind of into this coverage area out here. All these little open areas. They look great. Little open areas like this look wonderful, but they're so hard to paint.
Oh boy.
Right?
I don't know if I'm doing this correctly or not on mine, so.
Like, let's hope we do this right.
Well, this one I only have 3 colors that I'm allowed to do. So
That's interesting.
I have the skin tone I made for you,
Mm-hmm.
an orangish color, and I believe this is Pompeii red.
What kind of trouble are you getting up to over there?
Oh, not much. Just chilling
Right.
with George.
Right. It seems interesting you have those 3 colors.
Well, what's more interesting is I don't know where. Maybe it's just because I was on the show with you last week, but like now I have this character with a gun. I don't normally do this type of stuff, so
I would say armed characters is like more my style.
yeah. So I'm thinking what happened was I got carried away with watching you do stuff. I want to join in.
There you go. I don't see anything wrong with this plan.
So
Adding a little bit of water to this. The cell paint is water soluble. That makes it smoother. It makes it lay down a little bit better. Also, the paint is starting to dry.
Yeah, acrylic dries very quickly.
It does.
If you want any type of like historical reference for cell painting, Walt Disney Disney Plus has like some of the walkthroughs of their animation studios.
Oh, that's awesome.
And there's this one that's really old where they were doing production on Bambi for, and it all leads up to a cartoon at the very end. But I found it interesting, like really, really super interesting. So that's why I mention it.
Oh yeah. I got a degree in this for a reason. I don't know. I mean, there's something wonderful about animation. There always will be. And I don't know what and even this old cell type animation still really good for me. I don't know. It's funny. My wife was up here a couple of days ago when I was doing some of these prototypes, and she's like, I can't tell if that's super relaxing or super boring. And I'm like, oh, this is, and she goes, you look very relaxed. And I'm like, I am very relaxed. This is so good. And it is. It's just like super relaxing. It's for reasons that I don't know. I mean, it just seems like I was born to animate. I'll sit here and paint cells until the cows come home. I'm okay with that.
Nothing wrong with
Pretty
that.
windy outside. Yeah, I was when I was in college, we were doing stop motion. And a buddy and I were working together on this project. And we were just we got into it, and because it was stop motion, we had to close all the curtains and control the light and everything like that so that the stage wouldn't get changes in light.
Yeah.
And we started at like 3 in the afternoon or something like that. And we went and, stocked up on donuts and food because it was college. Donuts, food, whatever. And then just got cranking on it. And we were like going along. And at some point in time, we're like, well, we'll take a break. And so we took a break. We opened the curtains and the sun was rising. And we suddenly realized that we had been we'd gotten kind of into the rhythm and gotten into the pattern. And we'd spent 12 hours on it, or 14 hours, 15 hours, or whatever. And now it was, 6 in the morning. And we hadn't even noticed. We just kept going. And I turned to him and I was like, this is how you know this is where we're supposed to be. And I'll just sit here and do this all day long. I'm perfectly content. I do believe that's my kid starting to prep his lunch. Which reminds me, do me a favor and make sure that we don't go overtime. Because I'll get all happy in here and I'll be doing this, and then it'll be 3 in the afternoon.
Well,
and I actually teach art this afternoon, so
that would be bad.
Yeah, I can't actually run over.
Well, you're a half an hour away. Just
All
to
right.
let you know. So it's 11:27 right now.
Excellent. Thank you. Boy, how can such a small child make so much noise?
Simple. Small child.
I was gonna say he is. I'm hearing thumps and whumps and all kinds of stuff coming from downstairs. I'm like, what is he doing? I think he's making lunch for himself, and I think he's making mac and cheese, and I think that's what he's after. But it's still funny that he's thumping and clumping and making a whole lot of ruckus. So
Well, I mean, there's worse things.
there are worse things. He is making his own lunch. That's all I really ask most of the time. Like, well, as long as the place doesn't burn down, I guess we're fine. All right. One of the things I'm going to try to do here is not go over the black lines if I can avoid it. Now, having made a prototype of this, I found that I don't need to put a lot of white paint in here to block out the light. Before I was really clumping it on, but now I'm looking at it and it doesn't really need to be that bad. So it's more important that I try to follow in the lines than it is for me to clump up a lot of paint for opacity. There we go. Like we've sealed in just about everything. So clear off my 001 here over here. There we go. Clear it up. Somebody just whoopinged me, which may be absolutely nothing. We'll have to see. This is who? Why am I getting... Send over... Okay. I have no idea who that is, but I wasn't on a Zoom meeting with you yesterday. So it's probably not. Yeah. It's yesterday on Zoom, you said, I'm like, I didn't actually, because I wasn't on a Zoom meeting with you. So now I'm going to use just this bigger brush and go in here and just fill in the middle parts of these. Make sure we've got all this kind of sealed up. And then we will come back around here. When it comes to this branch of this tree, I'm not worried as much about precision because it's a very long straight line. So I'm just going to go on ahead and use the fan brush on it. And come on here. Get this area down here. It looks like something that you'd find on like a Hawaiian shirt.
Definitely.
Very pink. It's fine. And some of this we will need to, so I got to watch out because I'm noticing that I splash some of this stuff, this paint. So I got to be careful not to splash it in the open areas of the cell. I got a cat here. I just got a text message saying that they were going to have a rally tomorrow at the Capitol so that the new administration of the presidency will know that they want COVID relief. And I was like, we're already having rallies? Wasn't he inaugurated today?
Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not talking about the people who are against. This seems like this is the people who are for, coming from the same political side. I'm like, you're already having rallies? Doesn't he get a chance to like sit in the chair or anything?
No, there's a lot of. Let's just say that the politics in America are getting very, very dicey.
Complicated.
They're
Yeah.
getting very dicey. They're getting very muddled, and everyone wants something out of it. So
Um,
I don't talk about politics usually. So
no,
take it for
we
what it
don't usually get
is.
into it. I'm actually just more along the lines of humored that they're already pressuring the current administration. The administration has literally been in the
That's
chair
because
for a
he's
day.
threatened a lockdown,
Oh, yeah, I see.
and the lockdown. I'm sorry. I know too many small business owners that it would hurt.
Well, if we'd all wear masks, this wouldn't be a problem.
I wear a mask.
I do too.
I know you do too.
Yeah, I lived in Japan. I got no problem with it. What are you doing, you little pest? Besides attacking me randomly for no reason. I'm a kitten. This is what I do.
There's a reason. He's a kitten.
Right? I'm a kitten. This is what I do. It's what I do in life. It's my lifelong goal. So I'm just putting in coverage along here. Just trying to cover up every bit that is visible. That's why I put a light box underneath there. There we go. I'm just gonna try to kind of cover this last little bit. I'd loathe to be putting in paint. Yeah, like we're running out of paint over here, but I'm like, I'm loath to put more paint in because then I'm just going to have to waste that paint. But I feel like I'm going to need just a little bit more paint before I run out of paint over here.
For a second there, I thought you were making the voice of the guy of Other Father from Coraline.
Oh, yeah? No, I just have my brush in my mouth. As all good artists should. I think it's too thin now. I feel like we might be too thin. We'll see what happens. I might have gone just a little too thin over here. Okay. $37. So, what we've done now is just make it so that that's you can see that it's very clearly not see-throughable. That's the goal here.
See-throughable?
Yep. You can see through this level of the cell, but you can't see my hand here, or my hand's behind the tree. And that's our ultimate goal, is to make that work. We'll set this guy over here. The other half of this piece is right here. And this is the other piece of this cell. The ultimate end goal, by the way, is this. This is what it'll look like when it's complete. With two layers in here where you can see the... Now, unfortunately, when I made this one, I realized that I had done them in reverse. So these are flipped. And so I learned a lot from this particular one, and now I'm going to do it the correct way. So that's the ultimate end goal. So we need to go in here and do this one too. So first things first. We've got a few more minutes. I can do this a little more here. Add in a whole bunch of paint. All right. And I'll add some water, just to water it down a little bit, just to give it a little bit of temperance. There you go. Just kind of... I'm going to take my really thin brush. Go in here and mix it up real good. Okay. And then use this really thin brush to go in here on the, like, her hair. Come in. There we go. One of the other things I had done with the last one was I didn't use a really thin brush. And I ended up with a lot of paint going outside of the lines, which shows up pretty dramatically on the other side. So this time I'm using a very thin brush. Yeah, you'd think that, you know, after all the years that you and I have been doing this, I'd be able to color inside the lines.
Guy, they can't put us in a box, man. They can't put us in a box.
Right? Right? We will not conform. I'm just trying to get all of the kind of scary areas here, like fingers and stuff like that, which are difficult to paint with a larger brush. There we go. And she's going to be a lot easier to paint because, one, she doesn't have a whole bunch of leaves. So all I really have to do is just try to kind of get along the outside edge of things. And then just move in like this. And I know I'll get better at this as time goes on. Boy, I really get aggravated with the, going over a line or whatever. Like that. Right outside the line there.
Okay.
I feel like a horrible cell painter whenever I do that. Like, boy, you'd think I'd be able to do this better.
By the way, you have 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Thank you. All right. Down here. It should be noted that both Pepper and I have Patreons. Mine is patreon.com/G.S.Davis Art. And where can we find you, Pepper?
Patreon.com/ I believe Pepper DeLuca.
You're like, wherever the heck I put myself? I'm sure I put myself somewhere.
If you go to my Instagram, which is Pepper DeLuca, or at Pepper DeLuca on Instagram, I have a link tree in my bio.
There you go.
So it has all my information and my links there too. So it's a lot easier.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot there, my friend.
No, it's okay. My Patreon right now is not going to be starting back up until March. So
yeah, and if you join me on Patreon, you're effectively just helping me produce my comic. And so I say that because I don't often, I'm not one of, I believe Patreon was designed to be a tip jar. And so I use it as such. So a lot of people are like, I joined your Patreon, you didn't give me anything. And I'm like, that's not the point. It's not the way I see Patreon. Patreon is, I really want you to continue making comic books. So
yep.
I'm going to support you.
All right. No, I'm just letting mine dry. I didn't expect to take up the entire time with this one image, but
that's actually good. I'm on painting 2 of today, so I think that we're doing just fine.
all right. So, okay. So,
All right.
Sit home. I'll post this on my Instagram, and it goes
That's
to my
cool.
Facebook. But I've been off Facebook for about a month now. I took it off my phone, and so I only go on my Facebook like when I'm at my computer. So obviously, I'm not there right now. So yeah, there's
I'm hoping that Facebook will add the option to do business site. I'm hoping for it to kind of do that soon.
What do you mean?
Well, right now, in order for me to go to my business site, I have to log in and do all of the stuff, and then I get to see my feed, which usually sucks me into some fight. somewhere along the line. So I'm
Yeah,
hoping
no, know
that
the
somewhere along
feeling.
the line, if Facebook will make it so that I can um, just log into my business site and not have to go through my feed. The moment I have to go through my feed to get to my business site. I love the business site function because then um, I can post to Insta and Facebook at the same time.
Yeah.
It's extremely useful because Instagram's kind of a pain to navigate. You have to kind of do it from your phone, and I'm old and cranky and phone stuff. I hate typing on my phone and yada yada yada. So that's a thing.
Well, I'm
So
gonna give you
we'll
guys a preview for next time I'm on here. And I am doing swatches for the next piece.
there we go. Man, I am spending an awful lot of time on painting these days, which is great. And so, but it does mean I've realized that I've spent a lot of time over here at this desk. It's kind of cool. Certainly nothing wrong with that. I just was observing. There you go.
All right. So, demented Christmas colors. Great.
Nothing wrong with demented Christmas colors.
No. So, I got a gold color. I got a warm red, and I have like a grayish, greenish blue.
Cool. And a little bit of water in here.
That's, yeah. All right. We are coming up to the 9-minute mark, so we are
Almost done.
should be wrapping up.
Yeah, we're doing great though. I think this is. I'll be done covering the cell by then. And that'll be great because it can then dry over lunch. I can start working on it, tonight-ish, assembling it. This is experiment number 2, but the one that should be correct on this. If this works, I'm going to offer this as an option for people who want to do character portraits and stuff like that. And then they can have 3D-esque cell portraits, but they'll be expensive. This takes some time and takes some effort, requires trips to Kinko's and stuff like that. So it's not like this is going to be cheap. This will not be a $10 thing.
I just find it funny that you're using something that I was told when I was in high school that I would be using in business for presentations all the time.
Right?
Someone's like, that's not true. I'm like, yes, it is. I went to a school that told me that in business I was going to need these skills and know on how to use these things. Actually, part of my school supplies was actually having transparency sheets.
I love transparency sheets.
Yeah. In the end, I think my mom had like a bunch of them that she had to throw out because we got like different colors and stuff to indicate whose was whose.
It's even funnier.
So, yeah. There
Well,
we
you know,
go.
they did say in the Graduate, they were saying plastics.
Yeah, man. Plastics are real. Plastic problems. So, anyways. So
Yep,
we will be meeting back up on Friday, right?
that is correct.
That will be more of a discussion topic instead of us just silently painting and somewhat talking.
Right?
So,
There we go.
and it looks like you got her all finished up.
Just in time. Go ahead and clean that brush. But let's take a look. Yep. Look at that. That's nifty. So we got both sides of this cell. I'm going to let that dry. And then, well, we've got about just a few more minutes here, and then we'll be done.
Yeah.
My kid's up here going, "Are you done?" Not yet.
Almost.
Not
I have 5 minutes. I just need 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is where we do the cleanup of our palettes. That's an important thing to do. Otherwise, this paint hardens in here and then it becomes impossible. Well, not impossible, but very, very difficult to get out of here.
It's like one of those things of you have to kind of like let it soak.
Right?
It's
We can get to it, but
yeah.
boy, it's hard. There you go. That's excellent. Clean the brush. Brush is cleaned as well. Take this paper and dump, or this water, dump it in this water, because this water ultimately becomes the water that we will dump out and clean the puck so that it won't be all pucked up. This is when Pepper wonders why he keeps doing this with me.
No, it's not when I wonder. It's when I wonder is when I sit there and I go, "Guy, I think you've been in the house too long." Especially
Yep.
like when it comes to like George interrupting and stuff. It's like, "Guy, you're talking to your cat again. We're on the show.
You know it's just a cat, right? You know this, right? You're aware
You
of
know it's
this,
a
right?
cat, right?
It's
You
just
know
a
it's a
cat.
cat."
I mean, he's a good cat, but he's still a cat.
Yeah. I don't mind you talking to your cat, man, but
And we're
been
just
doing it a while.
yeah, we've been going on for a while about the cat now.
So,
Oh man.
all right. So, next week, if you're watching after we're all said and done and off the air, I hope there's more people that will be watching so that we can have people do suggestions on what to do with these colors on mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what Guy has planned for his own stuff for tomorrow, for next week.
Yeah, for tomorrow I'm getting back to commission work. I've got a commission that I'll be doing tomorrow. I'm working still with Airship 27, and I'll be working on illustration number 7, which we started on yesterday, but then I had a kid problem, so that had to be dealt with. So there was always that.
Mm. Well,
What I'm
tomorrow
hoping
tomorrow I'm definitely going to be working on commissions. I have my last 5 cards for MetaZoo to finish up. So
right. So we'll be doing that. And hopefully this, I'm noticing that we're not, I mean, with the light on underneath it, I can see that there's areas under here that are a little darker. So I'm going to see, this will be the experiment for this particular one. Does that matter? This last one that I did over here, I laid on really thick. So the question really is, I put a lesser layer on, which would be good because the paint is really expensive. So I don't want to be laying out too much of that paint, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff,
well,
so.
and with that said, that is time for our show to be done.
And it is time for us to go to lunch, and everybody should also go to lunch. And I'm going to move to the command chair over here so we can run the show. And I will say, see you all later. Keep your eyes in the stars. Bye.